I'm telling you, bro. I did be trying, bro. I did be put, bro. People,
We love you, Chris Poo.
all them niggas,
Thank
bro.
you for everything.
They say I don't stream. Fuck them, bro. Like, fuck 'em, bro.
420 fixes, bro.
They say all that shit, bro. They say I don't do nothing. Like, fuck them. Fuck them.
Don't apologize to us, gang. You don't do shit.
Real shit. Oh, fuck them. Call them TikTok.
Take a nice hike somewhere in the mountains, G.
Oh, dead ass, bro. All of them.
You did more than enough.
Yeah, this is why everyone shouldn't be streaming. So to give some context on the clip that you just watched, that was AMP Chris Next Door. And if you're watching this video, you probably already know who he is, I'm gonna be honest. And I believe he started around September 18th, but essentially Chris has been doing a marathon for his stream. For those who don't know what a stream marathon is, I mean, it is pretty self-explanatory. Essentially, you don't stop streaming until you complete a certain thing. It's a little bit different from a subathon where when the time runs out, you can end streaming. With a marathon, you have to keep streaming until you complete this certain thing. And what Chris set out to do was essentially prove the AMP community wrong that he's the worst gamer by streaming non-stop until he completes 6 games.
I'm not
Game. Like ass.
You're not good at board games?
but you didn't even try. You didn't even see what
Bro, I played with you in the past, Fortnite, 2K, and every other game that we play together, bro. You're fucking garbage at it. Green, bitch. You see that? That's greatness.
I was doing it myself.
Six pretty hard games. Like Black Myth Wukong is one of those games, and if you are a subscriber of this channel, yeah, that game is hard as fuck, especially for a new gamer. And I need to remind y'all, the clip you guys just saw was from Chris's stream 614 hours into it. Damn near to the dot, if I'm being honest with you. And if we do our quick math, 614 divided by 24, that is 25 and a half and a little bit of change of streaming non-stop. 25 straight days of streaming non-stop. That is crazy. So Chris had this vulnerable moment on stream where he started crying, he started breaking down, where he expressed some of his frustrations when it comes to essentially his public perception. Like, he feels as if the internet believes that he's not doing anything, he's not contributing anything to AMP. And Agent, being the W-mans he is, got a hold of this clip and reacted on stream, and this is what he had to say.
This nigga has challenged himself to beat a whole slew of tough games to prove to himself more than anyone else that he could play. He beat COD on Veteran. Nigga beat The Last of Us. He beat Skyrim. That's not an easy game. Mario 64. And he's on Wukong. You can't even change the difficulty on that game. And he's still making progress. Like, the fact that niggas feel like they can clown him for that is crazy. So, but the problem is once you get a lot of that, he'll break down. This is a breakdown right here. This is a breakdown. And unfortunately, chat, this is actually the reality of being a streamer. If you have 3 breakdowns that someone remembers, you are now painted as an emotional person. And no cap, people start to take you less seriously.
So there is honestly a lot to talk about the situation from a bigger lens, because I think this is a situation that speaks on the unhealthy streaming culture that exists specifically on Twitch, but also people's expectations when it comes to their favorite content creators nowadays. I do think the line now between a celebrity and a content creator is blurred. I do think certain content creators are so popular that they are full-fledged celebrities. And in my eyes, I don't think Chris is one of those people, but the trickle-down effect of essentially dehumanizing your favorite content creators, because to you, they're just a form of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? I do think that's a problem. Now, this is a problem beyond the content creator realm. I delve into the NBA space a lot, and that's a very big problem when it comes to athletes. But content creators definitely experience this as well. I know it's so easy to just say, oh, why are you getting mad over text on the screen? But we are humans interacting with other humans on the internet. That may just be user 123 on your screen, but you know that that's an actual person saying these things to you. And one of the biggest adjustments that I personally had to make when I started off my content creation journey was having thick skin. Listen, some of y'all may be making videos on the side and you may get a mean comment here and there, but for us full-time people that do this for a living on a regular basis, there is a lot of mean and hateful comments out there that I just don't know if you guys can even grasp unless you're in our position. Imagine going on Instagram, checking your notifications, and you see 400, 500 different hate comments, like, you're saying some crazy shit that you know for a fact you wouldn't say in person. And I think this is uniquely interesting to Chris because for those who don't know Chris's background when it comes to content creation, it did not come from him wanting to be a front-facing content creator from the start. Chris started off as AMP's main editor, which is also why people saying Chris doesn't do anything for AMP is crazy. One of the biggest reasons as to why AMP became what it is right now is because of their crazy YouTube videos that, you know, they don't post as regularly anymore, but Chris was their lead editor. He provided them a very unique editing style that aided the brand to be what it is. So for a fact, AMP would not be where it is without Chris. But nevertheless, my point is Chris is not a guy used to being in front of the camera to this extent, especially to the point of streaming non-stop 24/7 for, I believe right now, I was just on his Twitch. He is now on day 29. And when I mean non-stop, I mean non-stop. This is Chris's Twitch channel right now. He's literally just sleeping. Like, he's not even on the screen. The timer's still going on. I don't know what he's watching. I may be getting copyright claim for this, but this is what he's doing. The main thing I do want to talk about in this video, and I think it is encompassed by what Chris is doing, is the unhealthy streaming culture that's going on nowadays. For those who aren't really tapped in, there's been a really big meta, specifically this year, of Twitch streamers doing marathons. And there's definitely levels to it, and what Chris is doing is on the extreme side of things. But for example, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero just came out last week, and friend of the show, TSO Sage, did a marathon stream where he finished the story mode, and he didn't stop until he finished the story mode. Another really big case of this was Fade's Subathon in September. Essentially in September, they didn't stop streaming the whole month, even when they were asleep. And that was a whole content house doing this. When Kai broke the sub, he streamed nonstop in February. When Iron Mouse broke the record, she was streaming nonstop as well. And even some of the sleepover streams, when Drewski and Kevin Hart went on Kai's stream and they streamed the whole night, like that's a pretty extreme stream. Listen, I get the appeal of marathons. You're doing this big event, you're streaming nonstop, you're doing content nonstop. It is entertaining. But there's so many downsides to it as a creator that y'all just don't think about, because again, for y'all, it's just clicking on a stream and watching content for a couple minutes or a couple hours. That's not the case for the creator. They have to keep creating content. For one, you lose a lot of your privacy. The internet is already as parasocial as ever, and doing a marathon stream where you don't cut the stream for as much as possible, you lose damn near all of your privacy.
28 days, chat. 28 days, no privacy. Cameras on at all time. This has been the hardest thing of my life, and I'm glad I did it. I said I was gonna do something. We said we was gonna do something, and we did it. We did it. We did it, bro. We said we gonna do it. This is hard work. I'm tired, bro.
Like, I was literally taking showers on stream when he was doing the subathon. And I don't know about y'all, but losing my privacy for 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time would literally drive me crazy. And that's not even, oh, I'm afraid to get canceled type of thing. That's just human nature to want privacy. Also, specifically for stuff like gaming marathons, you are at your desk a whole lot. Sitting at your desk a whole lot, not getting any sunlight, not moving around. And I know that's rich coming from me, but I also acknowledge that I live a unhealthy lifestyle. It is unhealthy to be sitting at your desk for 8, 10 hours at a time in a row, just playing games and going on the internet. That's not healthy. But with the way the internet works, and I swear to God, this happens as well. When I stream, even if I just go to the bathroom for like 5 minutes, views go down. And we all know what a good live stream is, right? Like, a lot of these content creators are still trying to make good content and be good streamers. You can't just hop on a game and not talk to your chat at all. You have to entertain them throughout this whole time.
I was really falling asleep.
Put it this way, I do a podcast twice a week that lasts for like 2 to 3 hours, and I'm doing it with co-hosts, so I'm not even yapping the whole time. By the end of those 2 to 3 hours, after we hit end stream, there is like a sigh of relief of, okay, good work, y'all. Like, you know, we put in work tonight. Now, imagine a solo creator doing that nonstop for weeks at a time. That is mentally taxing. I am honestly surprised that I don't see streamers breaking down more. And this is something I'm gonna bring up in future videos a lot, and I'll bring it up today because I think it is a true problem, as its pros and the cons, but the cons definitely show their ass more every single day. The marathon meta is a product of the one-up culture that exists on the internet. To be honest with you, long story short, it's just capitalism, but that's another conversation for another day. As we keep evolving as content creators, it is damn near our duty to figure out how to be different, to figure out how to be better than the last generation of things. And while that inherently produces better content than years past, it also produces more extreme forms of content than years past. And I already thought that with Twitch culture specifically, streaming for 5 to 10 hours straight at a time, 4 to 5 times, maybe even 6 to 7 times a week, was already crazy. Listen, I know another big talking point in 2024 has been the fact that a lot of streamers have been complaining about their job being harder than a 9 to 5. And while I still don't believe that an average streamer is not doing something harder than what an average 9 to 5 worker is doing, I'm not saying that. I do still think it is important to acknowledge that streaming still isn't as easy as what you think it is. Especially if we're talking about what it means to be a successful full-time streamer. Not a guy or a girl just streaming 2 to 3 times a week for an hour or two. A full-time streamer that does this for a full-time living. And I give y'all all this context to ultimately say, not too much on Chris. Because given his background in content creation, given his background in gaming, and what he's trying to set out to do, this is an extremely difficult task. Now, no one ever forced him to do a marathon like this, but you gotta commend him for trying to do something really difficult. Trying to prove that he can also be a successful streamer within AMP. But what I also want to add to that last point though, is that I feel like a lot of content creators are forcing themselves to be streamers. Listen, I know some of the most poppin' content creators right now are the Kai Cenats, the iShowSpeeds, even lately the Phases of the world, the Aiden Rosses of the world. Even if you're in like the right space, the Sneakos of the world, you know, the Fresh and Fits, like those guys are popping. I think a lot of the cool kids on the block are streamers. And I also say this when people try to criticize AMP Davis for not streaming. Not every content creator is meant to be a streamer. It doesn't fit their personality, it doesn't fit their content style, it doesn't fit their work-life balance needs. Like, not everyone needs to be a streamer. And it is specifically harder for Chris because he's in a group full of the most successful streamers in the world. But this idea that Chris and Davis need to force themselves to be a streamer for what? For you? Like, no, if they don't want to do that, if that's not the content they want to do, they shouldn't be forced to do that. Internally or externally. And what Kai said about AMP recently also backs this up, because he believes that what makes AMP special is the fact that this is a group that has not only conquered streaming, it's also conquered the YouTube space. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Does AMP Chris just need to suck it up, or is it not too much on Chris? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace.